How's it going, everyone? So there's a pretty hot topic going around in the Marvel Snap community the last few days, and that is whether the game is pay to win, if it's playable free to play, if there's any issues with the current system of card acquisition right now. And I kind of just wanted to give my thoughts on it. I'm seeing videos like KM Best, Bootman, and I agree with some points and I disagree with others. So I just kind of want to give my thoughts, what I think, and some ways to resolve these issues. And I also wanted to go over the numbers of how much a Series 5 card actually costs in monetary value when you convert it to gold and credits and then open up reserves. But before we get started, as usual, if you love all things Marvel Snap and you love video games, make sure you like and subscribe, hit the bell, and let's talk about this problem. Okay, so is Marvel Snap paid to win? The weird answer is it depends on your definition of pay to win. If your definition is you can pay any amount of money to get any kind of advantage over players that are completely free to play, then obviously Marvel Snap is pay to win. But if you're like me and your definition for pay to win is the more money you put into the game, the more power they give you, and if you don't pay any money, you can't compete with those that are paying money, then it's kind of a tricky answer. I don't think Marvel Snap right now is pay to win, but as of this month and maybe last month, it's kind of walking this thin line where it's kind of making that dance on maybe going over the edge to pay to win. And the problem lies, at least for this month, KM Best made a video about it, and it's cards like Zabu and cards like Darkhawk, Shuri. These cards are so good that they're walking the line between cards that people want that are Series 5 and cards that people need to compete that are Series 5. Obviously, Zabu's not Series 5 yet, but he is $10 to play this month. And the problem starts when these cards stop being cards that you want, cards that you want to build your deck with, like Thanos or Galactus, where like they're interesting and you want to try a deck with them. I want these cards, versus I need these cards because their decks are so good that I can no longer compete with other people at my level unless I have them. This is less of a problem at climbing ranks, at like lower ranks. You can make competitive decks with pool 3 cards. You can get to infinite with pool 3 cards. You don't need these to get there. This becomes a problem more at competitive ranks and when Marvel Snap introduces like tournaments and such, where high level players need all of the cards to get every edge that they can. And if they don't have them, now they're playing with suboptimal cards that aren't best in slot. That now becomes which of these competitive players have pumped more money into the game to get this last 0.5% of cards in the game. Now, it's important to preface all this with, I don't think Second Dinner is trying to make this a pay to win game. I think they're doing their best to walk that line where they can make money and generate money because they are a business, and make the game accessible to free-to-play players. You can see this with some of the systems that they have put in, like the matchmaking system. You get matched up against players with the same collection level as you, as well as kind of the same rank and skill level as you. So you're not playing like us content creators that have put money into the game, that have full collections, that have Series 5 cards, and it's just not fair for you. They're making it so you play other players that are kind of at your level, and it feels rewarding to play against those players. They also implemented diminishing returns on the money that you spend, so the most bang for your buck is going to be the season pass for $10. You get a lot for that. And then after that, you can buy bundles, which are pretty good value still. A lot of the bundles that they've put in have been cosmetic bundles with a little bit of credits here and there. But other bundles like the Sunspot bundle or the Apocalypse bundle have been pretty good value and help you progress as well. And then the third way to spend your gold is just buying credits outright. And that's the least efficient way to spend your money. So the more money you spend in the game, the less effective your money is. And it just kind of helps keep everything in check. And then lastly, they have a cap on how much gold you can spend per day. So a whale that has $100,000 can't just come into the game, dump 100,000 and get to the highest collection level with all the cards and compete with the top players. And on top of this, if they really wanted to make it pay to win, all they would have to do is throw in 1,000 collector's tokens with each of these bundles and would force players to buy it. You would lose so much time if you don't buy it, and they could make so much money doing it, and they're not. And I think they know that. And so that's why I don't think Second Dinner is trying to make this game pay to win, but at the same time, they do need to make money. But what I do think is the core problem with this game right now is Second Dinner has been holding on to this idea that they want all the players to have different collections that force them to make different decks. And so everybody's experience is different. And while that sounds like a good idea, in practice, it's just not working out very well. The way that they're keeping players from getting all of the cards is by kind of making it so expensive to reach those cards or have a very long time frame before you reach those cards. And a lot of TCG players from other games are used to having access to these cards for a reasonable amount of money, like Hearthstone. You don't have to put in too much money to get a full collection, and it allows players, especially at the competitive level, to have access to everything, to be able to brew decks and and put everyone on the same kind of level playing field. And while I like this experience of having a different collection that I'm trying to grow while I was ranking up and going up collection levels, it was fun because I got to make my own decks and things. But as I got to a higher level, now it's no longer fun. Now it feels like if I bought a Series 5 card last month, this month, is it the correct Series 5 card? Did I buy Darkhawk now that works with Zabu to make a top deck? Or did I waste my money on something else? And that doesn't feel very good for most people. And for the tournament players, it's going to turn into, again, did I roll correctly? Or how much money do I need to spend to get this card that I have pinned in the token shop? I need Darkhawk this month to play in this tournament. How much money do I need to spend to get it? And that is why I'm making this video, to show you how much money a Series 5 card actually costs to obtain. And so I've done the math. I'm not going to walk you through all of the math, but I'll walk you through the numbers and I'll let you know how much a Series 5 card is actually worth. In Marvel Snap, you can spend $100 to get 8,000 gold. That 8,000 gold turns into 10,000 credits, which then turns into 200 collection levels. Every 12 levels, you get a cash. So for the 200 collection levels, you get 16.67 collector's reserves. Now, the amount of tokens you're going to unlock with the collector's reserves are going to be different if you're Pool 3 complete or if you're not Pool 3 complete. And so for non-Pool 3 complete players, you have a 25% chance to get 100 tokens. That means for each cash, you're going to get an average of 25 tokens per cash. When you multiply this to the 16.67 caches that you get for $100, you get 416.75 tokens per $100 you spend if you're not Pool 3 complete. Now, for 6,000 tokens for a Series 5 card, you translate this into dollar amount, and it's $1,439 for a non-Pool 3 complete player to get enough tokens on average to buy a Series 5 card, which is insane. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, well, if you spend that much money, you're going to be Pool 3 complete. And I get that. You will. If you spend that much money, you're eventually going to get Pool 3 complete. So it doesn't actually cost that much. But if that was the rate that you're acquiring collector's tokens for the rest of your career in Marvel Snap, that's how much it would cost you to get enough to get a Series 5 card. Now, for the number that is more telling of what the story is, the Pool 3 complete players. Now, for Pool 3 complete, you have a 25% chance to get that same 100 tokens, but you also have a 22.25% chance to get 200 to 600 tokens. On average, it's 400. That's what it was before, and that's what it is now, but it kind of varies cash to cash. But on average, it's still 400 tokens. So we're going to use 400 here. When you do this math, the 25% and the 22.25%, you get 114 tokens per cash. Now, for $100, the 16.67 caches, when you do the math, you get 1,900 tokens per $100 that you spend, which is much better than the 416 if you're not Pool 3 complete. But still, 1,900 tokens for $100, that means to get 6,000 tokens, you need to spend $315 to get a Series 5 card. Now, while that's much better than the previous number, that's still insane to spend $315 for a card. And this is where the problem is arising. This is where this pay to win problem is stemming from. Second Dinner wants to keep this unique collection thing going, which is making cards outlandishly expensive, which means only whales can buy them, which is making everyone who can't afford those cards point at that and say, that's pay to win. It's pay to win. And I don't think that's good. I also, to be fair, I still don't think it's pay to win. I think it's more pay to win a different way. I think so far the balance in Marvel Snap has been so good that even if you have access to some of these Series 5 cards, the meta decks that are around can still be crafted without those Series 5 cards. Some decks even don't involve Series 5 and Series 4 cards. So most everyone has access to at least a couple competitive decks. So if you're your average player, I don't think you're paying this money to win. You're just paying to be able to play these other decks. Now, again, where this causes an issue is when cards, Series 5 cards, or the Season Pass cards stop being a want for people, again, like Thanos and Galactus and Null, and start being a need. For instance, if Zabu and Darkhawk and Shuri decks just take over the meta, where if you're playing against them with any other deck, you're just going to get stomped, those cards now become a need. And now you need to pay for these cards or you're not going to be able to compete in any way in the game. And that's where the problem is. And I think with this system, KM Best talks about this, with the current system in place, it's really hard to avoid these situations because Second Dinner is such a small team. And even with a large team with like Hearthstone or whatever, it's really hard to try every iteration of every deck and come up with everything that all the people in the world can come up with your small team and perfectly balance a game. I think they've done a really good job up until now, and I still think it's balanced pretty well, but it's really playing with the line here. And I think that because you can't avoid those situations every time, you can't knowingly avoid them, with the system that's in place, it's eventually going to happen again. And so that brings us to, how do I think we can resolve it? And I think that one of the ways we can resolve it and also bring interest to these Series 5 cards is to have some type of a way for lower collection level players to have access to these cards. I've heard a few ideas of maybe weekly on the weekend, instead of having a hot location, we have a hot card where everyone has access to, say, Shuri or Null or something, and everyone can play them for 24 hours. I've also heard maybe introducing like a rotating pool, kind of like MOBAs have, like Dota and League of Legends, where there's like a certain amount, maybe a Series 4 and a Series 5 card that's available for a week or a few days that everyone can play with, and then it kind of rotates and resets. And I've also heard the idea that I really like, where you should be able to play with the card that you have pinned. And so you can only have one extra card. Say I want to play with Darkhawk, I'll pin him, I have access to him. And if I like him, I can buy him. If not, I can unpin him, get a new card the next rotation, and see if I like that one. But this kind of brings me to what I think the solution should be. And I think the solution is that Second Dinner needs to let go of the idea that everyone needs to have different collections to kind of keep this game interesting, and give players the ability to acquire all of these cards either reasonably priced or reasonably with time. I think they just need to make the cards more accessible. One of the ideas I saw with this was to either make the cards cheaper in the token shop, or let you get more collector tokens from the caches. What I think they should do is kind of go towards like a subscription based thing. Maybe with the season pass, they bump it up from $10 to $20 a month. And when you pay that $20 a month, you get access to all of the cards that they're releasing weekly for that month. So I pay $20 for the Savage Land expansion. I get the 5 cards for that month. I get the little unlocks, the season pass journey and everything. And then the next month I can pay $20 for another set of 4 cards that I can unlock. I don't know the numbers behind that. It could be a terrible idea from a business standpoint. And I know a lot of you won't agree with it because a lot of you want to be able to play the game free to play. I know a lot of you probably played Hearthstone free to play. You like playing games free to play, but something has to be done about what's going on in the game right now, because I think a lot of players are going to end up leaving. And while it's not pay to win, it's still very expensive to get a full card collection. And I don't think that's good for the game. So if you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments. I just wanted to get my 2 cents out there. I see everyone talking about it. I've watched a bunch of videos on it, and I just wanted to tell you guys kind of what I think. So as usual, if you love all things Marvel Snap and you love video games, make sure you like and subscribe, hit the bell. See you guys in the next one. Also, I just unlocked Darkhawk, so might have a video in the next few days on him. I don't know. We'll see. See ya.